Hello and welcome. Thank you for taking the time to view my presentation on social engagement reluctancy. This is the final capstone project for my portfolio. It encapsulates all the work I've done as an integrated social sciences major with the University of Washington. I hope you enjoy. First, this is a quick overview of what topics will be covered during this presentation. I hope to first provide you all with a working definition of sociological concept, social engagement reluctancy, relating to the connection between social exclusion and self-introversion. I'll go on to explain how concepts such as peer pressure and undue influence from family and even strangers are seen to cause self-esteem issues leading to voluntary introversion, reclusion, and in extreme cases, agoraphobia. Next, I'd like to describe why SIR can be seen as a major precursor to severe changes in individual personality development, societal relationships, and significant decline in knowledge of traditional trade work skills. Before we get into how we can prevent and treat SIR, first we must understand the origination and how social engagement reluctancy is being perpetuated even unknowingly or unintentionally. I have seen in my time as a student and as a public worker, there are contingencies between how you will present yourself and how people will treat you, depending on their perceptions of you. Finally, I'd like to provide you some insights and ideas on how we can prevent those we know and love from being affected by social engagement reluctancy and what we may be able to do to circumnavigate those who are already afflicted. I'll close this off with my own personal findings and my ideas on how this causation of social exclusion began and why those social parameters don't necessarily align with our society today. We have significant advancements in modern medicine and technological procedures than they did back in the 1600s, 1700s, when many were either diseased or afraid of becoming diseased. As I mentioned in the previous slide, I want to provide my audience with a working definition of social engagement reluctancy and what that entails. The neurophysiological process that we subconsciously, unconsciously undertake to engage in social situations is often minuscule, but very apparent. For some, it is muscle memory and easy as breathing. For others, it's excruciating, as inability to read social cues or failure to sense tension within individuals can make for an awkward encounter. Therefore, social engagement reluctancy can be defined as a distinct, involuntary, emotional, physical disconnect from any gathering of community, whether familiar or foreign. Why does social engagement reluctancy matter to future generations? Already, our future generations are burdened with technological advancements that all of us are having to learn at the same time. Unfortunately, this means online interactions and decorum are constantly under strain and subject to misuse. The ability to live on social media or work from home, spending hours immersed in their computer, has secluded many, and they don't mind it. When the option is to travel miles in a fuel-powered vehicle, wrecking the planet's climate, having to deal with judgmental people or people who struggle with attitude or anger problems, it's easy to see why staying home is so comforting. The adage is that it's hard to leave your comfort zone, while simultaneously more people are making the World Wide Web their domicile. The added inconvenience of how tough the economy has been adds pressure to stay home and save money. This could lead to a decrease in physical interactions, such as social gatherings, just public outings, which can lead to a breakdown in social courtesies, tact, empathy, tolerance. Online interactions are frequently unsympathetic. Eventually, this lack of physical interaction between humans could lead to a diminishment in trade skills in people and communities, and there's just a lot of critical knowledge, hands-on knowledge that gets learned by observing others that you really can't obtain from a technological standpoint. How does social engagement reluctancy pervade society? Plenty of studies have found that apathy, intolerance, and rudeness are precursors to avoidance and social seclusion. When people are emotionally mistreated or publicly ridiculed, it can be difficult to regain trust in social settings where the potential for reoccurrence is high. This inherent fear can lead to a multitude of self-esteem personality disorders, as well as physical disorders, such as anorexia or bulimia. There is also the possibility that self-seclusion becomes so inviting that it eventually leads to agoraphobia, which is the extreme fear of leaving home. What causes social engagement reluctancy? So, systemic intolerance seems to be the highest, the most accurate cause. Other causes include community influences. Fear of alienation from community leads to undesirable actions meant to exclude others. This is based on their appearance, hygiene, intellect, personality, you name it. What that means is we typically tend to act the way that the others around us act. And that includes alienating other people. Passive-aggressive tendencies. Fear of alienation, again, leads many individuals to use mechanisms such as disinterest or dishonesty, or even fallacies of logic to ostracize those who have been singled out as outsiders. Social exclusion by way of power. Class standards are synonymous with wealth and have been ingrained in our modern society for generations. Therefore, the more wealth that people accrue, the more social capital they have earned, essentially giving them the power to dictate societal standards among the working class and the impoverished communities. This sows discontent among friends and family, mostly for their fun with very little reward. When we're fighting each other, we don't question the powers that be, and when they have the money to afford anything, they can then be seen as examples of what the standard status quo should be. Technological overload or escape. Future generations are already being chided for spending too much time immersed in screens and not spending enough time outside. When the option for millions of kids is to participate in outdoor activities in cities rampant with pollution and crime, often they are safer inside. When school friends are able to remember something embarrassing or tease you about it for the rest of your life, sometimes those intimate physical encounters can be anxiety-inducing, especially when the alternative is to delete your online account, create a new screen name, set a new password, and start a new persona in seconds, effectively starting over whenever the desire strikes. Breakdowns of communication due to insults, disgruntled dispositions, and feelings of being aggrieved leads to breakdown in relationships, causing strain on social and emotional systems. Loss of interpersonal exchange can eventually lead to a loss of intricate skills related to vital functions in the economic structure we currently employ. This is plumbers, carpenters, welders, etc. Like I said before, no amount of video training can come close to hands-on experience, especially in trade skills which make our creature comforts functional. The negative ramifications of social engagement reluctancy could potentially see a decrease in trade labor, leading to an effective breakdown of our physical amenities and utilities. Prevention and restoration. How can we circumvent social engagement reluctancy? In research, there are significant findings pertaining to the proactive aversion of introversion and self-seclusion. Many of these conclusions draw upon the supposition that compassion, kindness, patience, and tolerance are all significant factors in the obstruction of reclusive behaviors. Being inherently nice really does save lives. In the long run, negative encounters are more debilitating for longer periods of time than are any negative effects which occur from positive interchange between individuals, which is very rare. Inclusion amongst loved ones stands to remain as one of the strongest adversaries against recluse intentions. Ancient civilizations have seen precursing themes of societal evolution multiple times over the centuries, changing political stances and alliances with advancements in personal hygienic practices and self-perception. Presumably, this was always for the continuation of the greater good, while also taking the opportunity to enhance our physical surroundings and circumstances. As humanity rounded the Industrial Revolution and advanced medicine, we began to see an uptick in civilized society for the wealthy, versus the common, indigent groups who still went without bathing routinely, ate what they could afford, or couldn't afford to see the doctor, let alone afford to buy medicine. And that feels too familiar. It was around this period when it became acceptable to belittle and condemn others for their appearance, understandably in the better interests of public health. No one wanted to get smallpox. This was before penicillin and modern medicine had made it possible to eradicate almost any disease. If you consider how dentists and orthodontists in the 17th and 18th century were whack jobs who were considered charlatans for entertainment and pleasure only, imagine going to the dentist for pleasure. Presumably, the alleviation of pain from broken teeth and gingivitis and gum rot could be considered pleasant in the long run. Nevertheless, dentistry is a multi-billion-dollar industry now, and considered essential for the longevity of healthcare, even in animals. In 2025, there seems to be no shortage of procedures that would fix any known condition for the right price. For this reason alone, it can be hypothesized that society has no jurisdiction over the presentation of physical appearances or smells. Indeed, the olfactory sense, or the sense of smell, is one of the weakest in terms that it can be ignored indefinitely and is affected by gestation or sense of taste. In fact, vision and auditory processes can also affect how your olfactory sense is triggered. All this to say, we need to be better about our face value approximations of other people and start viewing social inclusion as a human right, a societal health standard, and a holistic solution to issues such as depression, anxiety, and even substance abuse. Thank you for watching.